If choosing colors makes you break out in hives, or if you've ever heard someone say, oh, just go with what you love, and immediately panicked, this video is for you. Welcome to my 15-minute masterclass, Color Theory for Knitters in Plain English. This is practical advice for knitters who've read the books, bought the color wheels, taken the classes, and still feel like they're guessing. I'm going to show you my very easiest foolproof color combining methods, what works, what to avoid, and the one color you should never, ever knit with. Needles up, let's get to class. If you're here with me today, you might be wondering why choosing color combinations feels so hard. Color is deeply subjective. One person's Rembrandt is another's Jackson Pollock. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn some easy rules. Knitting is slow. We invest time, energy, and money into every project. So no, you might not want to just try something and hope it turns out. That's not color confidence, that's gambling. And contrary to what a certain famous designer says, with all love and respect, Kay Fessett, chaos isn't a color palette. Yeah, I'll add that to my queue, Oscar. Let's start with something that always works, tonal palettes. That's when you use one color, blue, in several values, light to dark. Navy, sky blue, slate, or olive, moss, chartreuse. Here's a great example of tonals in these two sea glass sweaters. Tonals are cohesive, sophisticated, and it will make your color work look polished, not noisy. Pick a base color that you love and build on it from there. And if you're unsure which values go, they really almost all do, as long as they're from the same color family and you avoid mixing warm versions of that color with cool versions of that color. We're going to talk more about that a bit later. And then if you want some contrast that whispers, ooh, I'm interesting, but doesn't scream, hey, look at me. Pick a tonal palette like we just talked about, and then add one pop of color from across the color wheel, or better yet, something on either side of that color wheel. I'm just going to get a tiny bit technical here. Colors that are beside each other on the color wheel are called analogous colors. So, for instance, we've got blue and green, which are very close to each other on the color wheel. Shades of turquoise and teal, also known as Totally Nicole Blue, fall in between the blue and green. As you may have noticed, I use this color combination a lot because I love these colors and I extra love them together. You can see evidence of that right here and in my Lorelei wrap over. This is merely a 2-color project, but I think it gets more compliments than just about anything else I have ever made that is multicolored. The blue and the green just resonate together so beautifully and look so classy, and yet they still have enough contrast to show off the fantastic mosaic. All of this is to say, once you've found a pair that works for you, there's no reason you can't just keep using it over and over again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is one example, but you could also do some soft purples with a pop of mustard yellow, or deep greens with a little splash of coral. Just one, not two, not three, not a confetti explosion. Doing your colors this way makes a project look intentional and modern rather than like the dog threw it together. Sorry, Oscar, but dogs have limited color vision. For instance, did you know you can't see red or green? And here's one of my favorite cheats for knowing 100% for sure that my color combo is going to work. You can take a hand-dyed multicolored skein that you love, one that made you gasp when you saw it, and use it as an instant perfect color palette cheat guide. Pick 3 or 4 or more individual colors from that skein and then use those in your project, even if you don't use the original skein. So, for instance, this guy, which is a gray base, also has some hot pink, some shots of a golden yellow, and a few little hits of lime green. I dug into my stash and I found hot pink, lime green, and golden yellow. And then I didn't have exactly this gray, but if you'll see when I put these together with this cool neutral gray that they pop, or I can tone them down by putting them together with a warm neutral gray that's going to give me more of this effect. I didn't have to know anything about these colors to do this. I just literally took this skein to my stash and picked out things that matched. I already know they work because I love the colorway that this brilliant designer already put together for me. Okay, we just touched on this a little bit, but now it's time to really talk about one of the most confounding color selection challenges: warm tones and cool tones. You know this one, you pick up a color and you love it, but it looks weird next to your other picks. That could be because you're trying to put a warm color with a bunch of cool colors or a cool color with a bunch of warm colors. The easiest way to tell is compare them side by side. Warm colors have more yellow undertones and cool colors lean more blue. If you take a warm red, like tomato, and put it next to a cool red, it looks like there's going to be a bar fight. And you can see how the warm red glows and the cool red recedes back. And to really make your brain hurt, neutrals can also be warm or cool. You know when you go to the paint store and there are 100 different kinds of white? That's why. So here's the trick. Take a true white, the color of a piece of paper. It can't be wool. Wool can't be bleached, so wool is never going to be true white. And a warm white, and if you're not sure it's warm, put it against a piece of white paper. And if you see any yellow, it's warm. Now use those two whites to temperature check your colors. This is a warm green. I put it next to this white, and does it look happy? Not really. I put it next to this warm white, and they really like each other. They harmonize. They meld. You know what I'm saying. And I get it. It can be tricky to tell, but unless you really know what you're doing, you want to avoid combining both warm and cool colors in the same project because it often just looks muddy or off. So if you see that happening in your color combination, try testing the colors using your warm and cool whites, or keep taking one out of the mix until you find the combination that looks happy together and the weird goes away. Now, you've probably heard a few rules like you can't wear black with brown or never mix red and pink. You can mostly ignore them. What you really can't do is mix 3 equally intense colors without a plan. If everything is loud, nothing has impact. Remember this combination? These babies are all loud, but putting them with a very calming warm gray or using them strategically with a cool gray base will help keep that neon down to a dull roar. And maybe you're okay with this. And if you are, then I'm okay with it too. And again, with the neutrals, grays can be warm and cool. The same can be true of beige and white. The undertone still matters. And let's not forget about value. That's the scale of the color from light to dark and how it reads when you take the color away. If you're doing a project that requires contrast, like Fair Isle style charted color work, don't assume that your apparently different colors are different enough. I've made that mistake. I took a blue and a green, very much like this blue and green. Now, these look like very different colors, don't they? And they look like they should work just fine in a color work chart. I knit up my chart. Where is it? It looks like all I did was marl those two colors together. The pattern is almost completely gone. This is what it was supposed to look like. While these colors look like they have a lot of contrast in a solid block against each other, when you break them up into single strands or single stitches, they actually blend because they are the same value. You can see when I put this block behind a black and white filter, the pattern is gone. These two colors, without their color, are almost exactly the same value. If your phone doesn't have that kind of live black and white setting, you can take a photo and then apply a black and white filter to it to see the value of your yarns. Or you can take a sheet of red colored plastic and use that. That's what we used to do back in the olden days before there were cell phones with cameras in them. Yes, I'm dating myself. No, Oscar, not that kind of date. And here's a tip for those of you who are currently stash busting. If you're going to use a lot of colors, make them look like they belong together. Choose one color to repeat throughout the whole project. You can either marl it together with these, or you can use helical stripes to blend your transitions. Use black, navy, gray, or white as an anchor and break up the really busy areas with some more solid panels. And for the love of Oscar, when in doubt, less is more. And finally, this color is Pantone 448C. In 2012, it was declared the ugliest color in the world and used on cigarette packages in Australia to discourage smoking. Do not knit with this color. It goes with nothing and looks good on no one. I said what I said. Color confidence isn't magic. It's method and muscle memory. The more you do it, the more you will believe that you can do it. So let's recap. Start with tonals. Add one pop, not the whole soft drink aisle. Borrow your palette from a mini skein. Know your warms from your cools. And ignore the old school color rules and focus on those undertones. And remember, you are smarter than your stash. And once you've picked out those amazing colors, swatch them. Because if you don't, this will happen. Here's a video that will explain why. I say goodbye. Oscar says goodbye. Needles down. Class dismissed.